Hey, frag heads and fragrance lovers, welcome back. I'm just going to see who wants to pop in this evening. Just say hello to you. No big video, no big presentation. Just wanted to kick it with you. In the future, hopefully, I'll be able to go live more and maybe have some just music in the background just for fun. Maybe we could play some different fragrance games. Do something creative. That would be really fun as well. Um, I'm just enjoying the weather out here. But fragrance wise, what I've been into, I have been trying to find some cheapies to share with y'all. I got really tempted, and I shouldn't have, but I have a bottle of Dunhill Century on the way. I think it's discontinued. Fragrance games, how would that work? We could do something interesting. I'm very creative. Maybe we could do something like that in the future. Like, and especially if y'all want to, send me stuff that's unlabeled, just with numbers, and we could play like a fragrance game. That would be really easy to do. Or there's multiple things we could do. So I'll let y'all know what I think of in the future. But anyways, I got a bottle of Dunhill Century on the way, and those are pretty big bottles. I didn't know how big they were, and I think it's discontinued. There's none available on FragranceNet right now, and it's getting a little bit hard to find. And I decided to snap a bottle up. I think they're 4.2 ounces or maybe a little bit bigger, and it was like 29 odd dollars. I mean, it was super cheap. That's a big bottle for not much. So I'm not the biggest fan of Santal 33 by Le Labo. A lot of y'all out there are. It I think I have a review out. If I don't, I'll review it. I'll share my opinion of it again. But anyways, supposedly it smells similar to it, but it's pretty citrusy and pretty fresh overall, and kind of leathery, nuanced, and it sounds really nice. I'm not expecting a lot with the longevity though, but that's really funny. That was an original release, and it didn't do very well. It wasn't a flanker really of Icon. It was its own original release, and it never got very popular for some reason. It got very mixed reviews from fragrance reviewers, and it was a fragrance that just didn't get a lot of talk. And I can see why a lot of designer brands release flankers upon flankers because people know, the name of something like Lamal or Aqua di Gio, something like that. And if it's a flanker of it in a similar bottle, people buy because of familiarity. As much as us as fragrance lovers dislike it, we want an original line, we want some more creativity and whatnot. Um, that's not usually going to transition to sales. It's not going to transition to money for these brands. So that's not how they play the game. Anyways, so that's a cheapie I have on the way. I shared y'all with y'all my Bulgari Extreme, my Bulgari Man in Black, the Black Orient flanker. I love the Bulgari fragrances for the summer and the spring. I'll be talking about those. Did you smell Azaro Pour Homme Mint? I haven't smelled the mint. I saw that there was a like an eau fresh version or a fresh version. Is that the one you're talking about? It supposedly has a note of mint in it. No, it's called Azaro Chrome Aqua, I believe it's called. I need to try that one. I didn't know that there was a mint focused one. I would like to find an Azaro Chrome DNA that works for me. So far, I haven't really found one that works for me personally. Not yet. But thank you for sharing. I'll have to look into it. What fragrances have y'all been wearing? What have y'all been enjoying? I think the mint one just came out. Oh, fantastic. I really need to try that one. And I need to try the Guerlain Homme Ideal Cool, the new flanker, the one that supposedly replaced the Ideal cologne and in their Guerlain Ideal line. I guess it is. I need to try that one. But that one too has pretty mixed reviews. So designer fragrances are always a mixed bag, but sometimes y'all know that there's amazing ones at discounters. I recently was really tempted to buy a bottle of Azaro Wanted Night. That fragrance for some reason doesn't get a lot of talk, but it's a really good compliment getter. Ladies love it, and it's extremely cheap at some places. Like I saw somewhere you could get the 5 ounce bottle for close to what was it, like 40 odd dollars or less than $40 for the big 5 ouncer. So um, it's a really good fragrance for cheap if you're just looking for something that's going to appeal to the ladies. So Mr. Cheap Sense is in the house. How you doing, my friend? How you doing? What you been wearing? What you been up to, Mr. Cheap Sense? It's good to see you. Um, Let me see here. Let me catch up with the comments. I've been really digging Dior Homme 2020, believe it or not. Oh, fantastic. What kind of results do you get from it? What does it smell like to you? I've heard really mixed things from that one as well. Um, lots of people have different views on those designer fragrances. For me personally, I never was a huge fan of the Dior Homme DNA. I didn't dislike it. The iris didn't bother me. I really did like the Dior Homme O, and I thought the Parfum was pretty darn good. But I never was like a big fan of that line. And honestly, I don't think it was distributed very well. I again, but I don't visit big cities that often, but I never really saw anywhere that that was in store, like available. And honestly, I don't know how popular it was to the general public. Us as fragrance reviewers and us as fragrance enthusiasts, sometimes we really love these flanker, these oddballs, and these things that get discontinued that maybe the majority of the public doesn't love as much as we do, like Midnight in Paris, for example. So, let me see here. Scented Sense of Grimoire says, I've heard Azara Wanted Night is somewhat similar to Nuit de l'Homme, but I've never smelled it. Maybe in vibe, but to me it smells. It's going to have more similarities to Invictus, but it's a different smell. It's a little bit more like leathery and almost gingery and almost cumin like, but it still has a little bit of that bubblegum playfulness in the opening. I don't really think it has much of a similarity to La Nuit de l'Homme, honestly. It might have some spiciness. It might remind them of the cardamom a little bit. I don't think there's any lavender in Wanted or Wanted by Night, if I remember correctly. To me, it resembles more of Invictus more than anything. Um, that's just my opinion, though. Let me see here. Jay Z says just picked up a bottle from the House of Sillage called Dignified. That's a really nice house. I really want to get into that house. I just haven't had a chance yet. Their bottles are kind of classy and interesting. You can like slide the nozzle over and then lock it and then like release it with a button. It's kind of fascinating. I really want to share my opinions of those fragrances with y'all. Wearing my Burberry EDP. Great choice, my friend. That's always those fragrances always are winners, and you don't have to think about it. That's a really nice fragrance. Have you tried the Indigo? I was really tempted to buy the Indigo, but then I heard it had bad performance, and I was like, oh no, oh no. But I have been tempted to buy a Burberry. I really don't have any Burberrys in my collection. I might buy Burberry Touch, but I've heard it's kind of powdery as well. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever have a Burberry in my collection, but maybe I should. Let me know which Burberry should I buy. To me, Dior Homme 2020 has a strong spring vibe. Smells sophisticated, classy, but can be worn easily. A touch of iris and very smooth and seductive, in my opinion. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing with us. A lot of people say the iris is completely gone, but it just might be well blended. It might not be just. It might not be a big note like it used to be. Like with the original, it used to be a big punch of that iris. But I did respect the Dior Homme line, but I was never personally in love with it. I even tried the Valentino line, and I've heard those are all discontinued as well. I don't know if it's true, but buy them sooner than later. Valentino, the Umo or the Ohm line doesn't get discounted heavily though, so they're not going to be cheapies for you, which is a big disappointment for some people. But the Absolute Noir smells very high quality. For the 40, 50, maybe 60 odd dollars that you would pay for the Absolute Noir, if you like your dark, seductive, Tom Ford ish like fragrances and you want a winter fragrance that has performance, that Absolute Noir by Valentino is good stuff. Very good stuff. My dad actually got a bottle. I think he sold it off. I buy stuff and I sell stuff. My dad does the same. And I'm going to show some of y'all the Christian Dior exclusive or high end line. Actually got some of those around, but I don't own them. Um, Let me see here. Glad you're okay. What do you think about Armani Code and Armani Code Profumo? They smell very nice. They're great fragrances, no doubt about it. 100%. If you like sweet fragrances, if you like the party vibes, if you're just easygoing, and you really like the more slightly dark and sweet fragrances, I mean, it still sells. People love that fragrance for good reason. For me personally, I really need to try the new. I believe it's the Absolute, the one, the gray bottle, and I really want to try the new gold version. Both of those sound a little bit more of something that I would like. For me, the Profumo is very good. It works very well with the ladies. If you like things like Ultramall, you might want to just give it a chance. But for me, the Profumo, it did have a tiny bit of that root beer vibe people joke about, but that didn't bother me too much. It was just a little bit too. It didn't really have any of the top notes. I wanted it to have a little bit more complexity. It just was rather sweet and kind of dark and kind of like a syrup, almost like a root beer syrup in a way. And it to me that Profumo, I could only wear it in cold weather. I don't know. Maybe people wear it all the time, 24/7. You can wear anything you want anytime, of course, but I'm not trying to put down on Armani Code at all. I mean, a lot of people like it, and a lot of people forget about the Mania, and that one's discontinued, and it's so expensive. These discontinued designer fragrances, the prices get ridiculous. Let me see here. Stella Moon says, "Glad you're okay." Okay, I answered that one. But thank you so much for stopping by, Stella. I appreciate you. Randy says scent of the day is masculine plurial. Fantastic. Let me know what do you think about that fragrance? I forget if I've tried it or not. Isn't it a bit silvery and a bit floral and kind of fresh? I like indigo more, but the performance is about the same off my skin as the original My Burberry. Yeah, I've heard that the Burberry own fragrances just struggle with the performance, but the indigo, I like the indigo bottle. I like how it looks. It's a very nice looking presentation, in my opinion, for what you get for a designer fragrance. So maybe one day I'll keep an eye out and get one super cheap. And I don't know. I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't know. I'm getting, as a fragrance lover, you get super picky. At least I that's the way I'm getting. I definitely pick up Iris and Dior Homme 2020. It's just a hint and makes you want more. No, that's nice, And that's another thing. If I ever give anything a negative review, if any other reviewer ever give something a negative review, take it with a grain of salt. Go out there, go to the mall, test the fragrance on your own skin. We all have different experiences and different opinions, and skin chemistry does change things a little bit. You might miss out on a fragrance if you just watch a reviewer and they really dislike the fragrance. There's been a couple times where if something's very yellow aldehydic, or if something is really clove heavy, it's not going to be for me. I was quite negative on a Ventus cologne. Uh, what was another one? Viking, and a couple fragrances out there. But anyways, try out the fragrances, even if you know my opinion, even if you know my experience and my review. Definitely try it out for yourself and rock it. Hey, it's all about you. Wear what you love. So I'm happy that you found that Dior Homme 2020 and that you love it. I need to try it. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not. I'm trying to go in with it unbiased or without a preconception. I'm trying to get in there without without any stigma. So, do you ever try Antonio Banderas cologne? They have cheap and smell great, but only last for like 4 hours. And have you smell Pacrobon 1 million cologne, not the EDT? Thanks for all your videos. I'm very thankful for your question. I'm very here for you, Stella. Antonio Banderas, I believe that's the one they have that called Blue Seduction, if I remember right. I believe it was Curly Scents. Really like that fragrance a lot, if I remember right. I don't remember if I've tried it. Honestly, I might not have. Maybe I should buy it. I should just buy it as a cheapie. It looks like a nice blue fragrance. I have a number of fresh fragrances. I actually recently got another bottle into my possession, gifted to me of Versace Signature, Versace Pour Homme. And I usually don't gravitate towards those fresh aquatic blue fragrances, but one way or another, somehow I always get a sample or a decant of something like that. Like I have one right now of Roja Elysium, and that's in the giveaway bundle. And I'm definitely trying to get that one out of my hands and let one of y'all love that fragrance more than I do. So I could blind buy it to review it, but Most likely, it's not going to be something I personally love, but I do need to try that fragrance out. And I really need to buy Oud Touch by, I think it's like Frank Oliver or something to that effect. A lot of people are talking about how good those fragrances are for the money. I really need to buy that Oud Touch, but I already have 24 Gold Oud Edition by Scent Story, and I don't know if anything's going to come close to that one for the money. I don't know about that. Let me see here. Paco Rabanne Cologne. Yes, it's a really nice fragrance. I think I have tried that one. I've tried the Privé, and I think I've tried the Cologne. It's just fresher. It's just lighter. Um, I'm trying to remember. I'm not too familiar with the Paco Rabanne 1 million DNA, I have to be honest. I haven't avoided it and I don't hate it, but it's just not something that ever worked for me, my personality. I'm really tempted to buy a bottle of 1 million Lucky. Even though it's linear, it's not particularly complex. It's like a nice effortless fragrance. And ladies go gaga for 1 million or even 1 million Lucky. So that vanilla almond vibe of the 1 million Lucky is really, it's a big compliment getter. And I might kind of want that fragrance just for casual wear for every day out and about, maybe in the fall. I kind of like it. And for me personally, I kind of prefer it over something like Pegasus, something like that. I kind of prefer that smell, and it's a lot cheaper as well. Um, so if you want a 1 million cologne, if you just want something that's really fresh and light and it's probably going to last you, I think, 4 to 6 hours, it might be nice for you. If you really like the 1 million DNA and you want something that you can get away with more in the summer, it might be something that you like. For me personally, I would recommend the Privé. I think a lot of us frag heads and fragrance reviewers, if you're looking for 1 million, I think that they would suggest the Privé. The Privé smells of higher quality. The Privé smells classier and smoother, and it's not. It has good performance, but it's not as loud as the original 1 million. I do have to say that I am excited for the 1 million Parfum coming out. The 1 million Parfum looks really, really good. Have y'all had a chance to look at the notes? It's got like more leather, and it's supposed to be more. I don't know. It's got all these notes that I gravitate towards. So that 1 million Parfum might have my attention. It might grab me by the throat into having me buying a bottle. So, um, fragrance most people love, but I hate Dylan Blue. What's yours? Um, I'll just share my opinion of Dylan Blue real quick before the question. I don't love Dylan Blue. Some people probably think I'm a big supporter of Dylan Blue. I support it in the sense that I think it's one of the better, if not the best, blue fragrances. But I still don't love the fragrance, if that makes sense. I Those shampoo fragrances just don't work for me. I did a top 10 list a while back ago of popular fragrances that I actually disliked, and I need to make another list so I can shock y'all. Y'all seem to like those topics. But one of the big ones that I don't like is Baccarat Rouge 540, and another big, very popular fragrance that I personally don't like is Santal 33. I seem to be a rebel. A lot of these fragrances people really like. For some reason, I don't like them. Maybe I'm odd. I have a hate and love relationship with Herod by Parfums de Marly. I want to love it and I want to like it, but it's not as rich as I want it for a tobacco sweet scent. And in the dry down, there's that sweetness, and it has this like odd. It like pulls. It doesn't feel balanced to me. The sweetness really has a different tonality to the fragrance and keeps kind of like jumping out of the fragrance. And I don't know if that makes sense. That's the feel and the style of the fragrance. That there's a dense, interesting, almost like fruity, piercing sweetness that doesn't stay. It doesn't blend like it should with the rest of the Herod. The rest of the compositions. So, anyways, I hope that helps you. You can check out my list. We all have our own different opinions. So I hope I helped you out. And you can check out my old video if you want. Can you wear 1 million Privé the whole year? I think you could get away with it. If you wear it lightly in the summer, you definitely could get away with it. In the very cold weather, it might be a little bit weak in the very, very cold, but hey, I mean, most of us are indoors even in the winter. So if you're just indoors, especially if you live in the city, if you're just out and about, that fragrance can be worn 24/7, I think. It might just be a little bit too sweet if you go out to like the summer to the beach. If you want to play volleyball or beach ball on out there in the summer, or go to the pool in the sun, it might be a little too. It might not be the perfect fragrance for that, but in any other situation, that fragrance will do you right. That 1 million Privé. I don't know if that was discontinued. A lot of these fragrances that are really good from if a designer fragrance after like a year and a half or almost 2 years, there's always a risk of it being discontinued, and I almost get worried because I recommend a lot of these, and so it's happened a time or two where I've recommended something, and then the supply of it dries up 6 months later, and sometimes I know it's going to happen, and try to warn y'all. Like with the Aqua di Giacenza, I knew that the supply was about to completely dry up, and about 5 months after I did my video telling y'all that the supply was drying up, get it now before it's gone. The supply just dried up and the prices went wild. So always be on the lookout. Some people miss out on fragrances they really love. I remember I was kind of fast to the draw to tell y'all about Prada Extreme when that got discontinued. A lot of people really love that Prada Extreme, and that one also went pretty sky high. It's a pretty good fragrance. That probably was my favorite from the Prada series so far, at least. Um, so yeah, definitely that 1 million Privé do you good. Do you have a lot of? Are you buying for yourself? You can wear anything you want, Stella. If you're a lady, you can wear that fragrance, of course. But if you're a lady, I'm trying to think of maybe something. If you want a tobacco fragrance, maybe some. Do y'all know of a good tobacco fragrance for a lady? Like a honey tobacco. You might like the hmm. You might like the 1 million Lucky more than that, or even is Pure Havana a good suggestion? I'm not sure. Pure Havana by Mugler, would that be a better suggestion? I'm not sure. Anyways, there's a lot of good fragrances out there. Everybody knows Dolce Gabbana the one. It's still a good fragrance, even though the performance is only 4 odd hours. It should be better, but it's not. I want Dolce Gabbana to release a X-straight version of the one. I'd probably buy it if the price wasn't outrageous. Can you tell me one cologne to use the whole year? Um, there's a lot of really highly versatile scents. I mean, you could go to the mall, and the majority of the scents that you can buy at your local mall, average designer fragrances, probably are versatile enough to get you all year long and work in the majority of situations. Most fragrances are a little bit, maybe a tiny bit better, of course, for maybe the winter, or maybe they're a little bit better for the summer. So if you want to wear them all year long, 24/7, have a signature scent, you're just gonna have to maybe spray a little bit more in the summer, depending on the or a little bit less in the summer, or maybe just a little bit more in the winter, depending on the fragrance. So a fragrance that I think, again, I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're a lady or what your taste in fragrances are, but a fragrance that's still on the market that stood the test of time, that I really enjoy is probably Pure Malt. I think that fragrance by Mugler is still around. I hope that they don't change the composition or neuter the fragrance. But for the ladies and gents and everybody out there in the world, if I was to just to suggest fragrances to people for people just to go out there and check out, that's easy for everybody, I think, to just about like. I think Pure Malt is a pretty darn good winner from Mugler, of course. That's a pretty darn good fragrance. It's hard to beat it. Dolce Gabbana the one is another one, but the performance is not good on that one. There's a number of really good ones. You could, again, just go to the mall, smell something, fall in love with something, and then if you really are worried about the discounters, you can buy it at the mall. But y'all know I always encourage y'all to save a buck and find a good discounter, one that you trust, like Fragrance Net or Fragrance by CA. They're really reputable. The Max Aroma, I've heard is really reputable. So let me know, what kind of fragrance are you looking for, Stella? How many bottles do you have in your collection? Hey, Jay Z, I'll be releasing a video about that, and I think I have 60 odd bottles, 65 maybe. I buy a lot of fragrances, and I also sell a lot of fragrances. So I'm not the kind of person to rush to get 100 bottles. I've talked about it a couple times, but I am more of a utilitarian. I'm not really a minimalist. I can't say that, but I like to feel like I'm going to wear my fragrances, and I like them all to be pretty unique. I really dislike redundancy. So I want a lot of niche fragrances, and I'm saving up in the future. But I have 60 odd fragrances, a good number of decants, and a lot of oils. And I love the oils because I can switch things up and make a bunch of fragrance combinations with my oils. So that's always a fun way to go. Anyways, thank you, bless you. Thank you, Stella. I'm very happy to help you. Are you looking for a certain note? Are you looking for a certain style? I'd be happy to help you. That's what I'm here for. So, stuff is on sale at Saks Fifth Avenue website, bros. Yeah, is it 25 or is it 20%? I think I saw that. Honestly, I don't have a big budget. If we do get a $1,000 check in the mail, maybe I can buy something. But right now, I don't even have that kind of money to buy throw out $200 on a fragrance. So I copped Back to Black by Killian. Fantastic choice, my friend. Killian has some great juices. And then another great thing about that, and thank you for reminding me, is that Saks Fifth Avenue. If you buy any of those, some of those fragrances never go on sale. Sometimes some of those fragrances never go on sale. So double check if you've been looking for one that you've really wanted for a long time, and maybe it's really really expensive. Maybe it's a flanker or of a certain fragrance, or maybe a little bit of an unusual fragrance from an exclusive collection. I don't know what it is, but those Dior exclusives rarely go on sale as well. So y'all might just really be interested in picking up something. So thanks for sharing with us, cyan or cayenne oxide. Stella says I have 35. 35. That's nice. Don't feel rushed that you need to get 100. If you see other huge fragrance enthusiasts with 100, 200, some of these guys even have 500 or 1,000 fragrances. Don't feel like you need to rush out there and buy those, especially if you have a limited budget. Just enjoy your fragrance journey the way you want to. I'm very interested in incense. I'm very interested in essential oils. I'm very interested in a little bit more of the attars and things these days. But all of us are going to have different fragrance journeys. All of us are going to have a different experience and enjoy it yourself. When you first get into the fragrance game, you might see a lot more niche talked about these days than maybe in the past. In the past on YouTube, niche wasn't talked about as much probably as it is now. Uh, you know, Go to the mall, have your own experience, and don't feel like you have to jump into a Parfums de Marly or a Creed or something because your collection isn't good enough. Your collection is right where it needs to be, and definitely enjoy the journey. Don't feel like you have to rush anything. So let's see, 35 is a good number, and trust me, the average person doesn't have 35 fragrances. So you're definitely a fragrance lover like us. You're definitely in the game. Anyways, um, what other questions do y'all have for me? What other thoughts do y'all have for me? I also did want to announce that this, I think I said it was going to end yesterday, but certainly today is the last day for the giveaways. If you haven't entered my 2000 sub giveaway here on YouTube or my giveaways for on Instagram, I have a giveaway for 130 mil bottle of a Babylon fragrance of your choice. Find the post on my Instagram, Scentitar_fragrance. And I have another giveaway from Scent Library, 3 oils, 3 fragrance attars that you can choose from the brand of your choice if you win. So you have pretty good chances. You don't have anything to lose if you definitely check those out. So, and also another thing on my Instagram I wanted to announce or re-announce is that I did have my interview with Alima, I believe her name is, the owner and the perfumer from Unda Priska, a fantastic lady from Lithuania. And it's up for probably 16 more hours or something like that. Maybe it's up for, I don't know, 12 more hours or something. I would really encourage y'all, if y'all want to see her passion, maybe learn a little bit more or get introduced to natural perfumery a little bit. She's a fantastic lady, uh, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the future. She doesn't have a lot of fragrances out, and I think she has some big plans. And she's a wonderful lady. So I really want y'all to see that that video before it goes away. It's only up for 12 more hours. So anyways, what other thoughts do y'all have? What other questions do y'all have for me? I'm here for you. I really didn't come out with a lot of fragrances this evening or anything to really present. I just wanted to hang out with y'all and see what was on your mind. Um, I think I've said it too many times, but please spread the word. Y'all know that Dior is doing certain reformulations. So if anybody loves that Dior Homme line, it might be too late. But definitely get your bottle. If you love Dior Homme, the original batch before this 2020, or the Dior Homme Intense, or the Parfum, definitely get a backup bottle now. But the prices already are really, really high on those. I guess you would call them vintage batches these days. So Mugler is probably the same way. A lot of their fragrances are going to be discontinued, and a lot of them are probably going to be tampered with, but I don't know for sure. I hope they don't tamper with because Mugler was bought out too. The same way with Creed. If you really love the way a certain Creed fragrance is made, and you can't live without it, buy your backup bottle now before you risk anything being changed. You risk a formulation, you risk paying double the price because y'all know how the market works, supply and demand. So you know it's getting kind of crazy out there. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot changing in the fragrance world. I have Creed Aventus. Did not blow my mind. I like Gucci Pour Homme 2 more. Yeah, everybody has different likes. Aventus is really popular because of the pineapple, and they do have a couple captured aroma, meaning they have like a copyright or a blue like a I'm not thinking of the word. It's not blueprint. But anyways, they have legal right to certain ingredients that go into the fragrance, and a lot of people really, really do like Aventus. But again, that's the thing. There could be 100 people in front of you telling you that this is the best fragrance for you, but you need to go out there and smell things for yourself. You might not like the Aventus. You might not like Parfums de Marly Leighton. You might not like Baccarat Rouge 540. You might not like Santal 33. You might not like any of these hyped fragrances that people really fall in love with. Um, and that's what I try to promote on my channel, finding what you love. I want you to find what you love and what you like. I think people's collections should have a lot more variety. People's collections should be a lot different from one another. When I see somebody first start a collection and they have 10 of the same fragrances everybody suggests and everybody knows, I'm like, that's a good beginning. That's a good start. But let's see where you're going to go. Let's see what fragrance journey you're going to get into. I want to see some of your personality. What notes do you like? What styles do you like? What perfumers do you enjoy? There's a whole world of fragrance. And, nothing's wrong with designer fragrances. And a lot of them are amazing, especially if they're on sale. You get great fragrances if you can get them on sale. Uh, but there's a whole world of fragrance out there. Even some of the flankers, find a good designer flanker fragrance. So how can you become a perfumer? Scent of Grimoire, asking the big questions, doing the long shots, doing the big shots. uh, I'm working on becoming a perfumer. What you got to do is there's either two routes. Just in general, there's two ways you can go about it. You can either try to become a self-taught perfumer, where you buy the ingredients yourself, you buy books, maybe you get some training from a perfumer, you go to a workshop or two, perhaps. But mostly you just learn as you go. You just play around with things, read some books and just get into the fragrances, your own way and your own style. And there are a lot of self-taught perfumers who have their own brands who are highly successful and doing a wonderful job out there. A lot of people really love DSH, and there's a number of brands out there these days who do that. The other way to go about it is to be a actual traditional perfumer and work in the industry. And if you go about that way, I think you have to apply, and I think it's almost all of the actual fragrance training, the actual I guess professionals who do train are in Gross, so you're gonna have to move to France for a year or two, which is very expensive in and of itself. And then the training actually, I looked into it, and what you pay compared to college or something, depending on which college you go to, it's actually not that expensive, education wise. But it takes time, it takes training, and it's no guarantee, just like college, that you actually learn all these synthetic compounds and you actually, have a nose where you're dedicated to detecting, all the different types of aromas. And I think you have to learn at least 400 and be able to detect all the differences and which ones they are, to actually be certified as a perfumer. I don't know what it takes to actually be considered a master perfumer. I don't know if there's an actual certificate for that. But once you actually become a perfumer, what you're probably going to do, if you actually go the route of becoming like an official, with a certificate perfumer, what you're probably going to do is want to get into the industry and get a stable job. That's what you worked for. So you're probably going to, want to work for a company that produces scent-like products. More of a chemistry degree. You're going to have more of a chemistry background. You're going to work on computers. You're going to work with algorithms, and you're not going to be connected as much to the ingredients or nature. You're going to really try to figure out what people like to smell, what works on a mass market, and what is sellable, and what, trying to make something that people will really like. There's very few master perfumers that actual big perfume brands actually hire. There's very few actual master perfumers like Alberto Marias that big brands hire on to be their perfumers for their brands. There's very few of, big perfumers like that. There might be 10 of them. 10 of those guys are ladies out there in the world. So if you're aspiring to be a master perfumer like Alberto Marias, you better have a great nose. You better be ready to put in the dedication and the hard work. And you're not going to exactly get to maybe make the fragrances you want. You're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. Let's say Gucci hires you. Let's say Tom Ford hires you, and they're going to give you a certain budget. You have to work within X amount of dollars. That's, the fragrance cost, besides the bottle and the marketing of what goes into the fragrance. If it's an $80 fragrance that's going to be sold at the mall, you might have some certain synthetic compounds. You have to work with the regulations and the algorithms, and you have to put things through test groups and put it in front, probably present a lot of things. You have to know the aroma chemicals and work within the legal bounds and within the budget of, I don't know what exactly the cost is for an $80 fragrance, but the what it's 20%. The average percentage of a fragrance, a spray fragrance, if it's an eau de parfum, it might be around 20% or so. If it's an EDT, it might be around 12% or so. So you might have like a $15 budget, and all said things said and done, and you have to work magic with probably $15 to $25 worth of, cost wise with these synthetic and fragrance ingredients and whatnot. So it all depends on what you want. If you become an actual niche perfumer, you probably have a lot more freedom, but you're probably, putting in a lot more work and artistry into it, and you're also making less money. And then if you actually want to become your own brand and start up your own business, there's a lot of cost and risk involved. What I'm trying to do for myself is, of course, I love YouTube, and I want I want to build that trust, and I want people who are invested into, my dream and everything like that, just like Fragrance View did. And maybe one day I'll be able to produce my own brand with my own vision, and work that way. If you already don't have an audience, just like social media or anything else out there, it's really hard to get your foot in the door. There are miracles and people who know how to make things work, getting money and getting angel investors and working with the right people if you have the right connections. But I don't know, maybe you can work that kind of magic. I, for some reason, have never been had that kind of luck and that kind of opportunity. I've never really had opportunities to talk to the right people, and for them to want to help me get my foot in the door. So I won't go into my story too much, but anymore, but hopefully that helped you. I hate Santal 33. I don't like it either. Have you ever smelled Safari? Are you talking about Polo Safari? I'm not sure what Zafari is, but if you're talking about Polo Safari, it's a pretty nice, classic, gentlemanly, spicy fragrance. It's a little bit leathery, a little bit. I don't remember the notes, but probably a little bit gingery, cuminy. If you're talking about Polo Safari, I actually think it's a underrated fragrance. I think it's pretty good overall. I think more people need to try it. Cyan Oxide says I also tried all the Parfums vintage clones, and HTTP is the best. I'm not familiar with HTTP. Are you talking about Bond number nines? That .com fragrance that's it's the yellow and blue bottle that's kind of some people suggest as an alternative to Creed Aventus. Is that the one you're thinking of? Um, I don't remember a fragrance called HTTP. I think you're thinking of the Bond number nine. Um, Parfum's vintage fragrances are, as far as clones go, the ones I smelled. I smelled them pretty early when they first started. They have a whole bunch of new releases, and they supposedly have stepped up their game with better quality, and their prices have gone up a lot. Honestly, I haven't tried a lot of their new releases, and I don't own a bottle of Parfums Vintage. For me, they're supposed to be clones, and some of them are 120, 150, $180, and you can find some of their real original Creed fragrances at discounters for essentially the same price. So for how expensive some of their clones are for 180 odd dollars, for me, you're pretty much, cost for cost putting them up, value wise, kind of like, yes, it's retail, but you're not going to find a big sale on Parfums Vintage. So you might as well just, put them on the same footing and just battle which one lasts longer, which one smells better, because you're not saving a lot of money, in my opinion, with Parfums Vintage anymore these days, unless you really just have to buy from retail. Honestly, some people do buy things retail. There's a lot of people out there in the world, and that's how a lot of these businesses survive. We're just rogue people on the internet, rogue fragrance lovers who want to save money, and we buy things on the gray market. But there's a lot of people who buy Creed fragrances full retail, 400, 350, $400 for Creed fragrance, and they have that kind of money, and they're probably not going to buy 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 500 fragrances like us. They might have two or three fragrances, and they might buy those ones over and over. So that's kind of what we got on our hands here. If y'all wanted to know my opinions of Parfums Vintage, I personally, it there's some fragrances I really dislike the smell of on myself. I don't like smelling it, but if I smell it on other people, it's gorgeous. Invictus by Paul Rabanne is that fragrance. I really dislike that fragrance on me, but I love the smell. Other people always complimented me, and I love smelling it on other people, but I just don't like the smell. Another thing, and I was kind of making that comparison because with Parfums Vintage, their pineapple vintage intense used to get a lot of hype. People were crazy about it, but it does have this almost like semi-fermented pineapple. Some people say it's a patchouli smell, and I can detect that on my skin. But both me and my dad and anybody else who I let smell that fragrance or wear it, they went gaga for it. Ladies love that fragrance. I think it was on Gent Scent's channel. He did some reviews, and his wife was crazy about Pineapple Vintage Intense. It's very light and almost transparent and almost molecule-like, but it's very pineapple-y and bright and citrusy. So, I mean, they must be doing something right. They started their business from the ground up, and I don't know how much money they're making. I don't know how much, if they're making 1 million or 2 million or five. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing awfully well over there to be growing so much. I don't hear as much talk about pineapple vintage as I used to, but I don't doubt that they're still doing pretty well. Let me see. But honestly, if you're asking just about that .com fragrance, I don't remember if I've tried it. I've tried so many Aventus like things throughout the years, and a lot of them smell the same to me or don't smell particularly different. Um, some people say they get decent performance, but I think it was a 5 hour odd fragrance. For some people 4, for some people 6 hours, and it smelled pretty nice. It was pretty light and kind of pineapple-y. So Love the way you explain in detail all topics about colognes and perfumes. Thank you, Stella. I do really have the personality of being a teacher. I really do care about sharing what I know and explaining things in a very thorough and clear way. When I went to college, I was very frustrated. Um, and this is just an example I'm making, but they didn't explain things in very clear terms, didn't make distinctions, comparing and contrasting. And there were so many times where, um, either I would misunderstand or people would be confused. And there's no need to overcomplicate things. You can explain things from the basics of things and work up. And even some things in the textbooks. I've had times when I was studying for a test or an exam, and I could read a paragraph 3 or 4 times. And I'm native English speaker. I'm a native English speaking and born person, and they could. It's written so vaguely and almost like in a more modern, almost slang like way. It's like I could interpret this like 4 different ways, and I know I'm going to have an exam question on this. And then even sometimes the questions, you'd have a question, you have 4 different options, A, B, C, and D, and even how the answers, the options you had were written out. It's like they didn't really make sense to me, and what really, answering the question the way they should. So, um, yeah, I try to make things make sense. I really care about that. Um, Let me see. St. Gwynwar says, if you were a perfumer, what type of scents would you make? I'm trying to keep things under wraps. I had a previous fragrance idea and I shared it, and I don't know if the guy had very similar experience and a very similar personality to me, but the day after I shared a bunch of my ideas and I didn't want to, I was pressured to, and he released his brand, and he had almost a lot of the same ideas that I had. I mean, a lot of them were verbatim. It was like 3 out of 4 of the ideas that his brand were built upon were the exact same things I said the day previous. So I'm still not sure if he stole my ideas, and he's a big fragrance reviewer, but I'm not gonna blame him. I'm not gonna hold it against him. But I do want to keep things under wraps because I probably am a little bit of a slow mover. I don't have an angel investor. I don't have a lot of money to start up with the ideas and the things I want to do. I really don't even have ingredients at this point, but I have written down like 100 or so different fragrances with different names and different ingredients, and I already have my concepts and all my ideas getting together. So working on that. I'm working in becoming a perfumer. I'm just going to tell y'all that I definitely care about nature and what goes into the nature and the beauty of fragrances. So I'll just give y'all that quick snippet that I'm not even going to tell y'all if it's going to be all natural or not. I'm just telling y'all that I care about the beauty of nature and what's around us, and connecting us to the world, the earth. Let me see. Cyanide says, yeah. Polo, yeah, Polo Safari, I think is really nice. The that Safari, I do think it's gentlemanly. I do think you need to be probably 30 plus to really enjoy it. It's not a particularly loud fragrance. It's kind of like a spicy, almost like leathery, cuminy, almost like gingery aromatic fragrance. It's still kind of light. I think it's really nice, but for the average guy out there who probably wants blue fragrances, it's going to smell a little bit gentlemanly, most likely. So, but I think it smells really good. Have you smelled Norn? Um, is that one from Slumber House? Remind me, is that one from Slumber House? I've tried a few from Slumber House, but it's been a long time. Honestly, Slumber House Norn. I don't. I only tried a handful. I only tried 3 or 4 of them. Again, I live away from big cities, and I had to buy those from Lucky Scent, and those cost like $6 plus for a little dauber, like a little like less than 1 mil, like I think it's a point 0.7. So I honestly don't remember exactly what that fragrance was like, but you can Google it on Fragrantica and get some opinions. I remember that one was, I think, supposed to be a little bit more dark and a little bit more green in tone. So definitely get on there on Fragrantica and get some people's opinions. Slumber House, from what I do remember, what I did try, they did smell a little bit rich, a little bit dense, and smelled pretty good of pretty good quality. But they're not cheap. I don't remember the prices exactly, but I remember were they 30 mils or were they 50? I think they might have been 30 mils, and I think that they were like 250 odd dollars. And sometimes, I think that the owner releases things in batches or whenever they feel like it. So if you want a certain fragrance, you might have to wait like a year or two to get it, and it might sell out pretty quickly in 6 months or so. So if you really do like Slumber House, it's kind of like a first comes first serve. Oh, it's 180. I'm sorry about that. I thought they were more expensive than that. 30 mils for 180, but the quality is through the roof. If you're into niche, more natural smelling niche, more natural ingredients, and you like rich, deep fragrances, Slumber House does a pretty darn good job. Um, I don't own a bottle. I don't know if I will own a bottle. Of the three or so samples that I tried, I didn't fall in love with them for me to want to buy them, but the quality and the compositions and what went into those fragrances was very well done. So definitely check out Slumber House if you're looking for some very well done niche fragrances, and you have the money, of course. Um, Scent of Grimoire says, I love that sly smile when you were talking about how you have your ideas written down. I can't wait to smell what you come out with when the time comes. Thank you, my friend. I like that sly smile, that crooked smile. I don't know if y'all watched Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind back in the day. Well, there's one of the main characters who has like this sly smile that comes up his face like that, and I've always kind of had that, and I kind of like it. And I know it's kind of weird, but if you know a lady who has a sly smile, let me know. I like that as well. So um, I have it. Just think you'd like it. I'll definitely check it out. I'll see if I can't get my hands on it. Um, I'm definitely I come and go. I still have my bottle of eccentric molecule. No, it's just the molecule brand. There's the eccentric molecule and there's the regular molecule. I have the regular molecule '03 on the mail, like a half bottle, a partial. I got a really good sale on, and I just bought that big bottle of Dunhill Century. So, and I just bought a bunch of fragrances not too long ago. So, I'll check it out, but I certainly shouldn't be buying any more fragrances. Um, if we all do get $1,000 checks in the mail, I'll show y'all. I already have a fragrance haul I need to put together, but I'll show y'all a pretty good haul. I won't spend $1,000. I promise y'all that, but I'll spend some money on fragrances. So, how long have you been into fragrances? Jay Z, the man, asked. Um, Probably 3, maybe 4 years or so. I've only been reviewing for like almost a year and a half or so. Um, I got into fragrances kind of early in college. I really didn't wasn't around people who wore fragrances or people who knew fragrances. I never had a fragrance in high school or when I was young. I never was around people who wore any fragrances or talked about fragrances. I never even saw any fragrances. I was just at college. I went to look at the clearance aisle. I was looking for a raincoat and I found a really nice Tommy Hilfiger. Y'all have probably seen my raincoat. I wear that thing. I love that thing, and I got it on sale. And the thing isn't fitted perfectly, like with the sleeves and stuff. I probably could get it fitted, but I got an amazing sale on it. Anyways, I was walking past all these fragrances and all these fragrance counters, and I just got curious. I'm a very curious person. I am a hobbyist. I do have other hobbies, but I usually don't try to talk about them too much. I'm into a lot of different things, and I'm an enthusiast. I guess I'm a nerd. I like to really research and dive into and learn just about a lot of different things. And I just like smelled almost everything I could. And you get funny looks. People think you're strange. They're like, "You liked how that one smelled. Why don't you buy it?" And I'm just like, "I want to smell everything first. I might like something more." So I'm just like smelled everything. And I wasn't easy to push or influence. Everybody was telling me that the Gucci Guilty was the hot fragrance and that I should buy Gucci Guilty. And I didn't want to buy it, and I didn't buy it, even though they were telling me that I should buy it and that people liked it. It's really funny. The world's a funny place. Anyways, hopefully that answered your question. I've been reviewing for about a year and a half, and I've been into fragrances for maybe 4 odd years. But honestly, I've taken things slowly. Some big fragrance reviewers or people with huge budgets, like Fragrance Journey, he's been in the game. I think said a year and a half in total, and he spent four, five, six times as much as I put into fragrances. It has a really really nice collection. So we're all at different places with different budgets, and we get into things in different ways. So what's going on, Ben? Hope you have a great day. Hey, Abram, it's good to see you. Sent to the day, Anthony One, my man. He swiped the second last bottle of Anthony One. I shared with him a great sale on eBay of Anthony. If y'all don't know about that fragrance, Cookie. Sorry, the dog is bothering our cat. And that strange creaking is going on over there as usual. Anyways, Anthony One is a very nice, fresh, calm, laid back, like Haitian vetiver citrusy fragrance. It's kind of timeless, easy to wear, and it has a really nice bottle and presentation. It was a fragrance that used to be able to find for $100 odd. I don't think the brand ever got popular. I think it's discontinued. It's not easy to find anywhere anymore. Just like Nejma. Nejma was another brand that used to be carried by Ulta, I believe it was, and you just can't find them anymore. Anyways, it's I really like the fragrance, and a guy had two bottles on eBay for 65 odd dollars, and with the make the offer button, and I'd offered him 50, and I think my friend, I think you offered him 50 as well, Abraham, and swiped a good bottle up, brand new bottle, unused, for 50 bucks, and it usually was like $100 odd fragrance. So I'm really happy about that. That's going to be a good spring fragrance. I think my Bulgari Man Extreme might be better, but hey, I like it. I feel it's always nice to have a good fragrance and you feel kind of exclusive because almost nobody knows about that fragrance and it's not easy to find anymore. So you said, somebody asks what you're wearing and you're like Anthony One, and people are going to be like, "What?" I've never heard of Anthony One before, and you're going to be like, I know you've never heard of it before, and you're never gonna get a bottle of it. Anyways, what's going on, Ben? Hope you're having a great day. Definitely a great buy. I'm happy that you liked it. You swiped it up. You got 50% off a brand new bottle. It's kind of hard to get, and it's a pretty good fragrance. I wouldn't pay the 100 for it. I wouldn't recommend people even pay $80 for it, but for 50 bucks, free shipping. I mean, hey, it's a nice versatile fragrance. So anyways, if any of y'all feel like you're missing out of our little friendship with Anthony One, you can still get an amazing fragrance called Bulgari Man Extreme. That one is kind of getting hard to get as well. I need to do my review of that. The supply, I think it's discontinued and it's getting hard to get. So if you want a good, fresh, happy, citrusy fragrance with a little bit of like a light vetiver in the dry down, definitely check out Bulgari Man Extreme. If you're that kind of person who really likes Dior Homme cologne and those kinds of fragrances, the iced lemonade kind of effect, definitely give a Bulgari Man Extreme a chance this summer. I don't think you'll be disappointed for 100 mils for $35 if I remember right. You can still find a few bottles. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I don't know if that's cheapy territory for y'all. It's a Bulgari. It smells a little bit classier and a little bit better. I certainly think it's a great fragrance. Certainly for the money. For the money. The money. Anyways, I've been on here for almost an hour. People, you know, it's kind of getting that time that people want to settle down around the house, but you got people partying, or I don't know what they're doing out there. I got again, little girl screaming out there. I don't know what's going on around here. It gets crazy. Not too far away, we have a pool over there, so sometimes people are loud and partying. Teenagers out there over around the pool. So, but I don't get to use it. Anyways, definitely a great buy. Yep. Anyways, my friends, any quick questions before I go? I need to wrap up. I probably should go. It's getting a little bit dark, and I don't want to be out here in the dark with y'all again. And and have an odd video where you can only see half of my face or you can't see me at all talking in the dark. So, have any questions for me? Again, if you just showed up later in the video, I have it's the last day for the giveaway, my 2,000 subscriber giveaway, and my 2 giveaways on Instagram. Check me out, @Fragrance. Check out the wonderful interview I had with the owner of Una Prisca on Instagram. She's a wonderful lady. We had a very fun, quick interview. If you want to check out that live on my Instagram. Thanks for the session. Have a good one. Have a great one, Gene. Thank you so much for watching today and lurking back there. Thank you so much. I still appreciate all of you lurkers back there. And thank you so much for your friendship and your love and, hanging out with me. The Citatar Fragrance channel, taking it easy, talking about fragrance. I hope y'all had some fun. And, let me know what y'all want to see next. Should I burn more incense in my videos or to pull out some more essential oils? I have definitely stay tuned to my channel. I have a bunch of exciting stuff coming in the future. I'll share with y'all my whole collection. I'll share with y'all a big haul video. I'm going to share with y'all a bunch of different things. Really will. Lurker here. Hi. Hi, Incense. How you doing? Happy to see ya. And I wish y'all a happy weekend. Have a good one tomorrow. And if you are quarantined, if you are, hiding, from the virus or whatever's going around, definitely cook some good food. Learn how to cook if you've never learned how to cook before. Improve your health and have some fun. I think that is definitely a lost art. A lot of us in the world haven't learned how to cook. Really nice food. If you watch the Food Network and you think some of that stuff is too fancy, definitely do something a little bit fancy, a little bit out of the norm. Buy a new spice, buy something new, and have some fun with it. Improve your health as well. I think a lot of us, we'd be a lot better off if we definitely got back to some of the basics. So, what new fragrances do you plan on buying? I have a huge buy list. It's really difficult, but I really want Hobdon by Parfums de Marly. I might snap out of it. I might fall out of love with it, but right now that one's high on the list. I really want Iode from Karamet Bell. Um, there's a lot that's on my buy list. I kind of want Black Musk from Mad at Lynn. I have lots of odds and ends. I really want a Bruno Fazzolari. I really want to sample and buy a Francesca Bianchi. I really want Montebacco Intensivo by Ormond Jane. And I really want to try the whole exclusive Elixir line from Ormond Jane as well. So there's a lot of fragrances out there. I can't name you all of them. I really want Renaissance by Xerjoff. I have a lot that I have on my buy list. A lot of fragrances. A lot that I would really like to own. But of course, we all have a budget. So, anyways, I'll see you, Abraham. I wish y'all a good weekend, a happy weekend. Be safe out there, my friends. Take it easy. Wear what you love and rock what you got. And I'll see what I can do. I'll probably chat with you or upload a video tomorrow or whatever. We'll see what happens. I'll see you. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy and bye, everybody. Have a good one.